Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I wish everybody a successful, happy, and healthy 2023. I am feeling it's going to be a good year. Okay, thank you all for giving me such wonderful questions. I got a lot of questions for this Q&A session, so I'm probably not going to get to all of them. I don't really think a video like this should be more than half an hour because I personally would get bored doing one for more than half an hour. I'm going to make this into two parts. If I don't answer your question, it's either because I just don't know, or because I just have others who asked a similar question or two. Okay, so I have it on my computer screen. So let me start and we'll see how we do. Okay, so the first question is from Mary Lou. Hey, Lou, what do you do to prepare for a reading? Not the long haul work, but an hour or so before meeting with a recipient, with a sitter. Well, okay, I'm gonna first tell you what I used to do during when I was taking a lot of classes and arranging a lot of practice sessions, and I'll tell you now what I do. That I do them is more organized, and they're all paid professional readings. Okay, so when I was developing, and I would have a lot of practice sessions set up because I did a lot of practice sessions. You have to practice, you have to practice, you have to practice, or you're not going to get better. But what I would do an hour before, probably not an hour before, but about half an hour before, I would just light a candle, which I always do because I think it's pretty and I tend to look at it. I'd light either some sage, I like the smell of sage, or a certain incense that I just like. I just want pleasurable things around me. And then what I would do is I would turn on some sort of ambient neutral music, something a bit etheric in a way. And I would just close my eyes, concentrate on my breath, excuse me, build my power, and just allow my power, the power of my spirit, the light of my spirit, to build and grow strong. And I could feel all the colors in my aura sort of start to burn bright and become very saturated. And I would sit in my power for about 10 minutes or so until I would feel tapped up with the power of God, the power of the universe, that as I would blend and meld with that. And then I would really just focus on what the intention was for the reading, what for the sitting. The intention to me is always to be of service, to allow spirit to use me as a door, as a bridge from their realm to our realm, the matter realm, the physical realm. And then that intention would be set. And then I would honestly just breathe. And then I would get up. So there's about what, like 20 minutes, I guess. And then I would get up and I would turn on some Crisco Disco, some ABBA, some Kylie, some Madonna, something up, bring your vibration up. Start really bringing in the feelings of joy, of gratitude, of just being so darn lucky to be able to do this. So, and that in a way is also raising my vibration and bringing light and beautiful energy into my energy field and my spirit. And then I would do the session. Now, because I'm sitting in the presence of spirit quite a bit in all the classes I'm able to do, which I'm very grateful for, and the sittings I get to do and the assessments I get to do. So I'm usually doing something with spirit anyway, any day. So I'm keeping that energy up, I'm keeping that vibration up. And now it's probably about, if I do like 3 or 4 readings or 3 or 4 sessions a day, I won't do them back to back to back to back. I don't like that. I'll do about maybe half an hour to 45 minutes between sessions. I'll just go about my day for about half an hour, do what I have to do, answer emails, daily stuff. And then about 10 minutes or so before the reading, I'll light the candle again and just prepare myself. Oddly, now what I do, I find it becomes ritualistic after a while. And I always reach for something that I'm holding. Right now, I'm holding a rosary from my mother-in-law's grandmother. And that brings me into power, brings me into correct state of mind. And then again, what I always do is just how darn cool is this, and how lucky I am to be able to do this, and also I rarely do this, but pat myself in the back a bit to that I had the faith and the courage to go ahead and do this, because now I'm just being rewarded by spirit, and you have to meet spirit halfway. So it's really just about building the energy, however you're going to do that, building your power, however you need to do that. If you need to sit for an hour before every reading, I feel that's too much. And who has that time time anyway. I'd rather be doing something outside or walking or doing something productive. I think sitting for an hour, if you're just sitting with the intention of sitting with spirit for your own development, that's fine. Sit as long as you want. But in preparation for reading, after a while, if you're doing a lot of readings and sitting in the power of the spirit a lot with different things that you do, meditations, circles, reading spiritual teachings, sitting with your own spirit, you can really, in a snap, just build your power and work. So to me, it's really just about bringing the energy up, whatever it's going to make you do that, whether it be some high energy music, like I said before, joy, gratitude, love, just appreciation. All of this starts to raise your vibrations. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay. So the next question is, Kristen, what are your thoughts on why certain people in spirit never come through for the sitter, a developing medium sitter or a general sitter, even though they may have been close to them when they were alive? Excuse me again. I'm getting over a brief cold, so I'm sorry if I cough in between talking. I don't know. A lot of people ask this question, Kristen. I think sometimes you just haven't read the right medium yet to commune with that spirit communicator. There might be some healing that you need to do that the spirit communicator, your loved one, a loved one in spirit, is waiting for you to get through, because you have to work on your process of healing as well. And you have to be ready for them to communicate through a medium to you. But my gut and what I'm being inspired to say is you just have to find the right medium to commune with that spirit communicator. It takes time, but you will. So don't. But I know you, and I know you, Kristen, that you're rather knowledgeable with spirit communication. So, but if anyone isn't, don't ever think, or don't let any medium tell you, oh, they're afraid to speak to you, or they're not ready to speak, or they're not here. They're not around you. I think they're always around you. It's just finding the correct conditions that they're waiting for, whether that be with the energy of a different medium, perhaps your energy. On that day, everything just has to click. But I always thought the same, and eventually I heard from all the people that I was wondering why I never heard from, and then surprisingly from a lot of people I never thought would want to contact me. Okay. Next question is from Jamie. How can the medium help us, the sitter? Like, if the sitter is not into it. I've had some weird experiences, and I don't know why someone would want a reading and then not really know anyone in spirit, or be like a wall. And then she just says, I've done a lot of my own reflection, definitely can see where I can improve and work on. So I'm not blaming the sitter. Anything I'd like to just help the situation. First of all, sometimes that sitter might not be for you, but that also comes in your when you're setting up a sitting and you're confirming it by email or messenger or whatever. You need to write to them that they need to bring joy and happiness, and that it's a spirit reunion, and they need to start building their energy, because that's, they're creating conditions as well as you, and it just makes it easier for you to work. If they're not into it, I've had sitters where people have gifted a reading to them, and I can tell within a second that they're not into it. And then honestly, I'd rather not waste my time. I'll try 2 or 3 contacts, but if it's really like hitting a wall, and I move closer to the power of spirit, I tend to then to forget about the sitter in a way, and I keep going. But if it's still, I'm not getting any response or any energy at all, I'll usually stop the reading and explain what I need from them. But usually by that point, it's gone. And then either I'll refund them, or I'll contact the person that gifted them the reading and I'll refund them. I don't care. I'd rather not work with people that aren't ready. But on the other hand, there are times when people will come to us in a state of grief, and you have to speak with them a bit before. So speak with them, work on your elevator speech when you have the sitter sitting in front of you, either in person or online, and just explain to them what you need. And then just not a telephone. They can't say, I want to speak to my mother, and we dial up the mother and she steps forward. It doesn't work like that. Who needs to come through is exactly who needs to come through. If they really don't know anybody in spirit, I'm not sure whether they're coming from mediumship reading then, and they should tell you that beforehand. Then maybe it becomes a spiritual counseling session or more psychic. But yeah, a lot of times, what you're saying about your own reflection, you're going to get every sort of reader that, every sort of sitter that there possibly is, and they're all opportunities for you to learn, either to stay in your power, and just reach behind you or above you or on the sides, wherever you sense spirit, and move closer to them. And if you're getting like a dud of a sitter, just move closer to the power of spirit. But there's only so much I can do if they're not open to it. So if I feel that, I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying I don't really think this is worth your time or my time or the money. So I'm happy just to refund. The refund is like the biggest advantage that we have. So don't worry about it. Okay. Um, just keep working with different sitters. It's good to see that there are as many types of personalities there are in the world. There's just as many that type of sitter. So use it as a learning experience and don't get derailed by it. That's the one thing I'll say is if it's a dud reading, don't blame the sitter, don't blame yourself, don't blame spirit. It's just the energies weren't gelling okay. But I have had really difficult readings in the beginning where I have been able to get through and say, you need to relax. I have your mother here and she wants to tell you things. And they might be like, no, I don't want to talk to her, send her away. I'm like, yeah, but I'll repeat one or two things that the mother is saying to them. And sometimes it puts them into a path of healing. But sometimes if that's the person I really do not want to talk to, I have to thank the beautiful spirit communicator, this woman, this mother, but their child or whatever, the child isn't open to it and they should try another time. But I'm not going to force information or a message or evidence on anybody. Okay. So Manisha, hi Manisha. Could you please share techniques, mechanics on getting the relationship? Okay, I actually had to write Manisha back and ask her what she meant by relationship, whether she meant the relationship that we have with the spirit world or actual in evidence, the relationship between the spirit communicator to the sitter, and she meant the latter. So you just have to keep working at it. And I really feel once you understand the mechanics of mediumship, the mechanics of blending, of holding a link, of understanding how they're communicating through you and with you, then you just have to ask the spirit world, help me work on relationships. They are our best teachers. Help me figure out the relationships here. So I find sometimes in the beginning, you might, if you're bringing through a spirit communicator and you don't know who it is, but like in your mind, the thoughts of your father, whether he be living or past, just creep into your consciousness, or your mother or your grandmother, aunt, whatever. Usually that to me is really how spirit starts to work with you in terms of relationships. So it's not like your mother's coming through, even if she isn't spirit, but it's just they're giving you a reference. They're using something in your mind to type, so you will understand who the spirit communicator is. So just be aware of that when you're reading, but also ask them, help me work on relationships, friends, and also positive affirmations. My ability to bring through the relationship of the spirit communicator is growing stronger every day. Keep doing that, because affirmations are really good and they can sort of train your subconscious to really react to that. Don't say I'm not good at relationships, because that's a negative, but use it that it's a progressively positive way. My ability to bring through relationships is growing stronger every day. I'm open to strengthening my ability to bring through relationships, things like that. Okay, so next question, Jennifer. What is your experience with contacting a soul who's gone back to spirit? Have you noticed that over time their personality changes or grows over there? My mom seems to have morphed into this lovely, lovely bohemian mountain woman. Okay. I mean, maybe at the core, that's what your mother was, but I have this issue with my father. When people are working with me, they have to read me sometimes, which I know is anxiety provoking, but that's how I have to judge them judge them. That's how I have to sort of evaluate them, I should say, not judge them. And if they say, "Oh, have your father stepping forward? What a lovely man! And he's talking about playing baseball with you," and I'm going to look at them and say, "Not my father. That's not my father. He wasn't like that." So I don't think their personality might change over there. Obviously, it does, because all of these human things, jealousy, abusive personality, so all these things start to fade away. But like if my father comes through and shows himself as a perfect father, I'm not going to recognize him. So I know I know the spirit communicator is not my father, or I know the medium somewhere in the medium's mind. They're just they're telling me what they think I want to hear, or that's how they're perceiving what a typical father-son relationship would be. But that's not my father. So my father's not going to come through and talk about what a wonderful father he was and how proud he was and what we did together, because that's not the case, and I won't recognize him. So I don't think they'll do that, because you're not going to know who they are if they don't show themselves, or at least acknowledge how they were. So my father is definitely more loving and supportive now in spirit, but he comes through a lot and expresses regret and takes responsibility for his actions. But it's all sort of now on the path of love, knowing what he did here and how it affected me. Because I think that's what they do in spirit, is they go back over a review of how their actions or words affected. It's like a pebble in a pond, and it affects so many people, because it also affected how I treat people. How I was treated was how I treated people. So they see all that. So they definitely, it's all love, and they're trying to progress as well, but they take responsibility for it. So I don't know, Jennifer. I don't know who does the reading for you, but to me, that's on the quality of the medium, right? So, I mean, if your mom's coming through and also acknowledging how she was in the physical world, that's fine. Maybe that was her true spirit, and that's what she's become. But she's never going to come through and say, "Oh, we such a great relationship, Jennifer. We loved each other." I'm sure you did love each other, but they have to show themselves the way they were, so we'll know who it is. So in a way, that's sort of like a disconnect from the medium and spirit communicator. Normal, quite normal mistake from a developing medium. So Jennifer had a question about, as mediums, I assume we are never supposed to talk about the future. Mediumship, if you're talking about fortune telling, that's not mediumship, that's psychic. So if they're coming to you for a psychic reading, or you bill yourself as a psychic medium, fine. But if it's a psychic reading they're coming to you for, that's okay. But if it's a mediumship reading, I would stay away from the future, and because that's not mediumship, that's psychic. And telling fortunes, really, I find it to be a slippery path, to be honest. Okay, because that's a longer conversation. I'm probably going to do another video at some point about psychic versus mediumship. Okay, there's one other question. Oh yeah, okay. So also from Jennifer, I'm getting to all of Jennifer's questions. Can anyone do evidential trance mediumship? It seems once people go into a trance, so much more higher truth comes out, and it becomes all over the time spectrum. I'm not sure. I don't know what you mean by time spectrum, but for your question, can anyone do trance evidential mediumship? Yes, it's a beautiful form of mental mediumship in the controlled form, trance, where it's evidential though, where you just set the intention to have a loved one of the sitter who's sitting in front of you work through you. And then that's a trance evidential. Your eyes are closed and the reading becomes first person. Usually there's no interaction between the sitter and the medium when they're speaking, when spirit is speaking through them. But for example, Jennifer, like I was doing a trance evidential reading with you and your grandmother came through, my eyes would be closed and I just allow her to work through me to sort of get a hold on me. And then I would just start talking. But I remember when you were young, you would sit on my lap and then you had fallen and I gave you ice to put on your knee, but the scar still is there. I was a younger bride. I got married quite young and I had children quite young. My father passed, your great grandfather, when I was 5 or 6, and I didn't have a good relationship with my stepfather. So it's sort of becomes this beautiful monologue from the spirit world through the medium. So your grandmother is speaking through me, and I could also she could sort of lift up her hands to me, and I could see clairvoyantly, and I see my hands. They were old, they were withered and not functioning well later in my life. So I might see her hands, which feel like my hands, like with arthritis, and I could see my wedding ring, which you now have, and it's a diamond. So as I look down, I could see her hands and the ring, and you can describe all these things. So yeah, trans-evidential mediumship is a thing. And it's actually quite beautiful. And it is, I find trance to be a purer form of mediumship, because it's really, once you get it, it's just allowing the spirit world to work through you, and you should be able to disconnect your mind from it and just allow them to get a hold on you, to overshadow you. Okay, so those were Jennifer's questions. Okay, so Tony also had a lot of questions. Which are good questions. Actually, they're all good. So I'll start. Okay, why do some people believe in ghosts, and can places really be really have paranormal activity, be haunted, and how does that happen? A lot of people believe in ghosts. I don't believe ghosts actually have an intelligence. I think ghosts are sort of like, it's like a memory imprint, like a fingerprint on a location, and the energy will just stay there. So paranormal can definitely happen, but sometimes paranormal is confused with physical activity if there's a physical medium present. So that can have to do with what people are perceiving as paranormal. But it's more about the energy being kicked up. A lot of times the hauntings are also physical. So what I like when people do paranormal investigations is when they bring a medium with them. Like I said, ghosts cannot communicate. It's just like a loop. It's a time loop. So someone will keep seeing a dark-haired woman walk down the corridor. You know, you see these things of like, you know, sightings of this woman who walks up and down the corridor, and a lot of people have seen it. That's just like a loop. That's just energy that's been imprinted, usually by some sort of rather harsh emotional energy that's been expended in this space. But yeah, it's usually the energy just builds up. But you might have, if you perceive something as a haunting, if you have a physical medium there, or evidential, just a medium with you, sometimes they can start to see what happened in this space, and they will be able to connect with the spirit person who's who wants to help clear this space. But I don't think it's really, I've never done a lot of paranormal stuff, and I've never really been truly freaked out. I've been astonished. But also there's something, it's poltergeist. Poltergeist also has nothing to do with the spirit world. It's physical energy that's usually being kicked up by a girl in puberty or prepubescent. That can bring something with the hormones that really brings that up. So yeah, the paranormal stuff is great, but a lot of times it's actually physical activity that's just being kicked up, because there's a physical medium. Probably they don't even know they're a physical medium, and that tends to kick up some energy. Okay, so also from Tony, have you ever been to other places that are like Arthur Findlay in the US, like Lilydale, and what are they like? I've never been to Lilydale, actually. I really just have, I've done way more in Europe than I've done in the States. Perhaps some people might have some suggestions they could put in the comments below. But there are definitely spiritualist churches throughout the United States. So I would figure out where you are. I believe I know where you are, somewhere in the middle of the country. Just see what's in the biggest city near you. And a lot of times they'll have spiritualist churches, and sometimes they will have circles, live events, things like that. So look into it. Okay, I'm going to skip here a bit. Also from Tony, last question from Tony actually has good questions, but I'm just going to get to this one. What are some of your most important lessons you have learned thus far from your mediumship experiences, whether developing or experiences with sitters and platform? Not to get in my own way is a really big one. To understand that it's nothing to do with me outside of the level of development and the quality of development. Not to take things personally anymore. Not to really worry too much about challenges or bad times, because now I see them as opportunities to learn. I don't know if this is what you really mean. To stay with spirit, to keep going back to the link, to refine the blend, to keep going back to the communication, regardless of what's in front of me, a sitter, a class, a group, it doesn't matter, a practice session, a circle, but to keep myself within the power of the spirit. That's, I guess, the biggest lesson I've learned. There's so many, God, to keep searching for my purpose, to keep sending gratitude and love to the world and to spirit. And just like I said it before for Mary Lou's question, just to keep to feel how grateful I am that I can do this, and just stay at, yeah, I'm trying, I'm stumbling. I guess the most important thing I've learned is that my mindset has every much to do with my development as the workshops I took, or the studying I did, that I have to change something from within. That all happens from within. That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. God, that's the biggest thing I've learned. Okay, Tony has one last question. Can you order books from the SNU, Spiritualist National Union website in the US, and will they ship overseas? Yes, and yes, they will. They charge for it, obviously for international shipping, but they will ship to you. Yes. Um, okay, so Christina, how do I get started? I need some information and advice. Does anyone want to take me under their wing? Go under Spirit's wing. Ask them to help you. Help yourself. Start taking circles. Take a foundation and unfoldment class. That's where you start. You can develop on your own as much as you like after you understand the mechanics of mediumship, the foundations of mediumship, the importance of your self-healing journey, the importance of building your power, the importance of praying, spiritualize yourself. All of these things happen internally, but the way to really begin is just get yourself in a circle, get yourself in a beginners group. Just do it. There are a lot of mentors that will probably take you under their wings, which is fine. But you can get the same amount of information and development from a circle or a class. Look for a mentor, and just keep and understand that the point of mediumship is to be of service. It's to help God, spirit world, and humanity. Okay. Okay, so if that helps, Christina. Okay, Corinne. And after this, I'm going to just check the time and see how long we're going. I have been sitting in some level of trance every day and have developed a nice routine and working on a relationship with the guides. They have told me through Tori's another amazing medium, who has amazing trance medium that I know, during your class, not to fret about who to call in, as they know who should come through. During this daily development time, is it just higher level teachers, or could a loved one be part of this development? I ask because I get caught up about insulting a loved one, ancestor, if I don't recognize their energy. How can I release this concern? Is just so simple as trust and faith, knowing they all work together. Yes, it's all about trust, faith, and just surrender and allow the spirit world to develop you as they choose to develop you. I, I'm really happy. I know Corinne, she took a trance class with me. I'm happy that you're sitting in some level of trance every day. And yes, routine for trance is very important. Keep sitting, keep sitting, keep sitting. Definitely try to call in some sitters to sit with you, whether another trance student, and they can sit for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then you sit for 20 minutes, half an hour. Keep working on, so that they'll speak, and they'll speak to someone else. Tori's absolutely right. Don't worry about who comes through. That's not up to you. It's up to them. Okay. Just allow them to develop you. Are they higher level teachers? Yes, they are. Are they inspirers, beautiful spirit people that are just intrigued by you and the way your mind works, and your background and your energy, and what your potential is? Yes. Can it be loved ones that are helping you? Yes. Can it be your guides? Yes. Okay. So don't worry about it. If the more you sit in trance, and the more you just set the intention, the desire to have your guide, one of your guides, speak through you, heal through you, write through you, you'll feel their energy will identify who they are, and you'll feel them. But I wouldn't worry about it. You're not going to insult the spirit world. I know you, and you take this seriously, and you enter it in a state of reverence. So don't worry about insulting them. You're not going to insult them. It's fine. Okay, another one from Tony, which I might come back to. I just want to see who else has. Okay, so let me just check time. Bear with me. Bear with me. How are we doing with time? Okay, I'm going to do one more question, and then I'll do more in the coming days, I hope. Okay, so hi, Joseph. I have been given some wonderful messages, and even one time a beautiful song from Spirit. And all I can remember after is that they were really interesting. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'll explain why in a minute. But when I have come home from a walk and found a pen and paper, it's gone. And although I asked, they'll never repeat what was said. I'm wondering why they don't just tell me again so I can write it down. I just don't have a great memory, and it frustrates me that I can't keep the words for others to hear. I'm laughing because I knew you were going to say you didn't remember them. I have a horrible memory. Anyone who knows me or works with me knows that I don't have a good memory. I don't pay attention too much. I think that's more it than having a good. I don't really. I just keep moving, and I forget a lot of things. So I had the same issue when I was doing automatic writing, where I would hear them, and I had no paper or had no paper. I had no paper. I didn't have any paper or pen with me, and I had nothing to write, and they would not repeat it. They never do. So there's something about when you're walking, there's something about when your mind is sort of passive and receptive, that's when they can communicate with you. Okay, so it's a big lesson. It's when you're out and you're thinking about something else, daydreaming, and your mind is just sort of receptive. That's when they'll jump in. So you're creating the certain conditions that is helpful to them. Okay, that's beneficial to them to work through you, to inspire you. What I've learned to do is I always have a small notepad with me and a pen. You have your phone. You could just dictating app, just hit record, voice app, and record what you might have heard or seen or felt. But they usually won't repeat it because there's something about the conditions that you're creating in that space. Like I said, driving or something where you could sort of phase out a bit. Don't phase out too much with driving. But yeah, it's nothing that they don't want to. It's that they can't, because now your mind is active. Because repeat what you told me before. So you're waiting with anticipation, and your mind is really active. And usually, spirit communication doesn't work well with when your mind is really active. Okay, so I'm gonna. Okay. Wait. Sorry, two more. Sorry if I go over, and I'll do another video in about a week or so and get to everyone's questions. One of my guides that speaks through me is a famous Middle Eastern writer and a woman's rights activist, which made it very hard for me to believe, which makes it very hard for her to believe. I understand that, but that's who she keeps telling me she is. I'm not sure why she became one of my guides. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry if this is a long question, not that long, but my guides keep pushing me to ask you. Thank you for your time. It's very much appreciated. You're very welcome. Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't even write who sent me that question. So hopefully you'll know who this is. Just accept who she's telling you she is. Don't worry about why she became your guide. You can ask her to give you sort of points about her life, when she passed, where she lived. Usually, God has to be someone who was, has had passed when you were born, when you came to this physical realm, because there was, I believe, there's a passing with the two spirit in the spirit world. Before we come here, we make a deal with our guides. So ask her that. But I don't know. I was never really too concerned with who my guides were. I learned, and I learned this from my guide: focus on the message and not the messenger for this stuff. Not in terms of evidential mediumship, obviously, but you're talking more trance or just getting to know your guides and allowing them to work through you, which is trance. But my guide spoke to me for years, and he never told me who he was. And I asked him once or twice, and he kept saying, focus on the message and not the messenger. That's what's important. So that's what I did. And eventually he told me his name and told me a few details, and I was actually able to find him and pictures of him because he passed, but not that long before I was born. So that was really interesting. So I wouldn't worry about it so much. Maybe that I don't know if that's why your guides are pushing you to ask me that, but you need to let all this go. She's with you because she's with you. She is saying who she is, and fine, but it's more of what she's saying that's important as opposed to who she is or who she was, I feel, at the moment. That's what my gut is saying at the moment. So just do it. Trust, faith, and surrender, and just see where it takes you. Keep going. Last question, because this is actually a good question from Tara. How much do I charge? That's all she wrote. Okay, so I did a video on the subject of charging. I think charging is a very individual thing. I don't think you should charge until you feel completely confident that your readings are at a level that you can charge and go into the semi-professional, professional level. That usually comes after about 6, 7 years, I guess. I'm not saying you shouldn't do paid readings before that, but just paid readings, you need a few years of development, and you have to feel comfortable. And you also have to understand how to hold the power, because you're as the medium, you're sort of driving that car, you're holding the power for that session. The spirit world is obviously in control of that session, but you have to hold that power, and you have to keep the reading on the rails in a way, and keep it focused about what you need to do, how much time do you have to do it, and control the sitter as well. Like don't let them ask too many questions, don't let them give you too much information, things like that. Charging is a weird thing. You charge when you feel like you're ready to charge, but I would suggest in the beginning, when you're thinking about it, you're not 100% sure. Start first. You need the clients, so wait for the clients to start coming. They will come. They will come. Paid clients will come when you are ready, not when you think you're ready. When spirit deems you ready. If they're not coming, you're not ready. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, but that's the truth. There's nothing to do with how much you're marketing yourself. It has nothing to do with promotion. Just allow it to evolve naturally and organically, and they will come. Spirit will literally tap you and say, this one's ready, and the readings will just start coming in. But don't force it, because if you do, you really can derail yourself right out of your development if the readings don't go well, and people complain, and then you really just aren't, your power is not there yet. The only thing I will say about charging is I do think, and I try to do this, and I've been told to do this when I'm moving into this calling full time, is obviously everyone needs to make money, but there's a limit of how much you should charge. I think this should be available to everyone, so it should be accessible. We're all doing this in different countries, in different cities, in different states. Everyone's financial situation is different, so I can't tell anyone what to charge. But I think you have to keep it at a level where if you saw this price, you would be like, "Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's they have value in what they're doing. So obviously they should charge, but it's not that much that's going to break my bank." Okay, so I don't know. I don't even want to give an amount because people are going to come at me. Just be honest with yourself. How much would you feel comfortable giving out for reading of your quality, and leave it at that? But yeah, but I would suggest in the beginning, charge like $20, $25. So, and then it's fine. It's pocket money, and then allow them to keep building, and then you move it up to $30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and have definitely a ceiling. I think my ceiling, I mean, okay, I'll just say, for a reading, I will not go over about 100. And people are going to be slamming me for that, but that's me for a reading. And but I also do a lot of classes. I also do a lot of meditation sessions. I also do mentorships. So I'm able to charge that, which I know is reasonable, but I personally don't want to make it more than that. But I can only do that because I have this other way that I can make money. I don't want to get rich from this. I don't care about that. Money does not bring happiness. Everyone needs money to survive, to live. I get that. So do I. But you can't do this because you think you're going to make a lot of money, because usually you're not. And that's not the right intention or motivation. Okay, so those are my answers to your questions. I will do this again in about a week because I think I have just as many questions I did not get to. But like I said, I don't want to make these videos too long. I'm pretty sure I went over, so I do apologize for that. Anyway, I wish everyone a lovely day, and I will see you all soon. Bye.